Welcome back to episode number 8 of ECW CyberSlam. This is the final episode for the time being from the ECW Arena. We've done 8 episodes there, but next week we go into the Hammerstein Ballroom where we crown the first ECW World Champion since the company came back. Paul Heyman opens the show, putting this over, introducing the 3 men who will challenge for the title: Steve Corino, CM Punk and Rob Van Dam. When the 3 men have made their entrances, he continues to promote that match. However, before the 3 competitors get a chance to speak, Homicide leads his group down to the ring, ignoring Heyman, Corino and even Rob Van Dam. They want to speak to CM Punk. Homicide talks about Punk beating Low-Ki, saying that he has earned their respect. Low-Ki begrudgingly backs this up, telling CM Punk that last week the better man won. Obviously, knowing Low-Ki's character, for somebody as proud as Low-Ki, it will take a lot for him to say that. CM Punk is then given one last chance to join their revolution, their opportunity to change ECW together, but Punk makes it clear he isn't interested. Homicide says that's fine, and he doesn't need an answer now, but tells him that all he has to do is make the call, or make the signal during the match, and they'll be there to make him the ECW World Champion. The 4 men then leave the ring, with Punk having to deal with suspicious looks from those in the ring, while CM Punk's done nothing to suggest that he would ever join that group. Obviously, with him being a new breed member against 2 originals, suspicion will remain. Paul Heyman improvised well throughout the segment, Homicide improvising also, Xavier and Sonny Siaki again getting negative notes as they so often do. We have added heat to the storyline and started the ECW World Championship storyline. A D52 to open the show is a decent rating. We then go into a video package looking at what happened last week. CM Punk defeated Low-Ki in the opener, Steve Corino defeated Brent Albright with an assist from Stevie Richards, and Rob Van Dam defeated Sabu in the main event. We then go into the first match of the night, Stevie Richards defeating a local talent CJ Sensation in 4 minutes and 6 seconds with a Stevie T. Throughout the match it is a complete and utter domination for Stevie Richards, who shows a more power-based offense, even does the gorilla press, a power bomb, and then finishes it off with a Stevie T. I'm not sure if that is the super kick that he does. I'm not sure what the Stevie T is. He gets a 48 in-ring rating, which is pretty good. A 21 for CJ Sensation doesn't really matter. Also, we are changing the gimmick to a bitter veteran. We completely change. Hopefully that gets a decent rating. Average, I was hoping for better, but it doesn't really matter. Following his victory, the commentators put over the hard-hitting style that Stevie Richards showed in that match and put him over as the man who attacked Brent Albright with a steel chair last week and cost him his chance at the ECW World Championship. Stevie Richards said that a lot of people have been asking him a lot of questions this week, but he doesn't owe anybody an explanation. Instead, Stevie Richards tells the people to look around. Richards thinks that Steve Corino was right when he told his fellow originals that looking back is the first step to irrelevance, and there is no way that he's going to let someone like Brent Albright take his spot in ECW. Stevie Richards says that he spent the better part of a decade watching people pass him by on the way up, but last week was the end of that. Stevie Richards then dubs himself the gatekeeper of ECW and says that nobody's getting past him without a fight. That starts with Brent Albright. A 44D rating, establishing the new gimmick of Stevie Richards. He improvised well and he's getting better at his gimmick. The storyline has continued there and it is going to morph away from Corino and Albright into being more of a storyline about Stevie Richards and Brent Albright over the next few weeks. We then get a promo from Tommy Dreamer, who hypes up the main event. It begins as he watches footage of Sonny Siaki's attack on him on loop. He's watching it again and again and again. He is completely transfixed by this footage. Dreamer then cuts an unhinged promo. He says that since ECW returned, he has been tormented from day one. It has been nothing short of a nightmare. Above anyone else, one man is responsible for that: Sonny Siaki. Tonight, Dreamer has the chance to prove something. To the fans in the ECW Arena, to everybody watching on ECW.com, and to Sonny Siaki. But tonight is about something else. Dreamer has to prove to himself. He has to prove that he is still the innovator of violence, and he is still the heart and soul of ECW. Another well-improvised segment, but a D-39 is not very good, losing heat to the storyline, and we're just going to have to move on and hope that he can get a better in-ring performance than he does with his promo in tonight's main event. We then get the second match of the night, Johnny Cashmere and Trent Acid against the Fullbodied Italians. It gets a 42D rating. Great chemistry from both sides. A 40 for Trent Acid, a 37 for Cashmere, a 41 for Tony Mamaluke, all in the same ballpark. But again, Guido carries the match in terms of in-ring performance. During the match, Danny Doring and Roadkill come out to the top of the stage. This causes a distraction. It's not really an involvement or an interference, but it is enough for Acid and Kashmir to pick up their first victory in ECW. Of course, the story coming out of the match is the frustration of the FBI. They regroup in the ring, staring down Danny Doring, Roadkill and Shelly Martinez on the ramp. Danny Doring takes a microphone and proceeds to run down Guido and Mamaluke, reminding them that they beat them in their debut in the new ECW, just like they beat them to become the eternal ECW World Tag Team Champions. After Doring had said his piece, Martinez took the microphone, making derogatory comments towards Trinity in the ring. This angered Trinity, who had to be held back, the FBI making it clear that they would fight Doring and Roadkill anywhere, anytime. Cutting away from ringside, we see a segment from earlier this week, Elijah Burke recording a vignette in a local gym. As Elijah began to laugh at something during the filming, he was confronted by Al Snow. Snow accused Burke of laughing at him and calling out his entire crew as being behind the head return last week. Elijah Burke denied all involvement, calling out Al Snow as being out of his mind. Snow didn't take kindly to this and had to be restrained and removed from the gym. As Al Snow left, Burke shook his head, beginning to make jokes about Al Snow's relationship with that mannequin head. It begins the storyline of Al Snow's tormentor, who is behind the return of Head, which he believed that he'd got rid of by throwing in a trash can. We'll find out over the next coming weeks. Ooh. A 35 E+ for our main event. Tried to build it up throughout the night, but Sonny Siaki getting a 26, a disappointing 40 from Tommy Dreamer, neither of them doing very well, a decent reaction but subpar wrestling, probably unsurprisingly. Tommy Dreamer defeated Sonny Siaki in 10 minutes and 24. However, that wasn't really the story of the match. Sonny Siaki was in complete control. He was dominating, bullying, victimizing Tommy Dreamer. He could have ended the match, but he didn't because he wanted to end the career of Tommy Dreamer, who had already been sidelined by him previously. However, as Sonny Siaki set up to put Tommy Dreamer through a table, Balls Mahoney made his ECW return, coming through the crowd with a steel chair. He hit Sonny Siaki on the back with a chair, but it didn't do anything to him. Siaki no-sold it, turned round, but was hit again in the skull with a steel chair from Balls Mahoney. This staggered him, allowing Tommy Dreamer to hit his DDT, not the Dreamer Driver as it says there, to pick up the victory. Balls Mahoney is back and he has thwarted Sonny Siaki's plan to end Tommy Dreamer's career. Siaki rolls out the ring, heading up to the back furiously. He's outnumbered, there's not much he can do. Oddly, none of his fellow revolutionaries joined him either during the match or after it, which is somewhat strange. Balls Mahoney and Tommy Dreamer stand tall in the ring, the returning Mahoney raising the arm of Tommy Dreamer while raising his steel chair in the other hand. Sandman and Sabu then join them in the ring, the four men standing tall as the commentators sign off on the show. They hype the World Championship match taking place next week as ECW returns to the Hammerstein Ballroom and suggest the Originals had found their final man for the 4-on-4 Old School Originals versus New Breed Revolutionaries blow-off match next week. However, just as the show appears to be ending, Styles speaks of having heard of an incident that has happened in the back. They have just enough time to show what is going down there. We then cut to the back and see that the cameras have found Rob Van Dam, who has been taken out during the course of the main event. While nobody else is on the scene, it does offer a neat explanation for Homicide, Loki and Xavier being absent from involvement in Sonny Siaki's match with Dreamer. RVD is completely out cold, and the first man who walks into the room is CM Punk. Punk is surprised to see RVD out on the ground, but before he can react, another door opens and Paul Heyman rushes in, having heard of the attack to one of the guys who will be in the World Championship match next week. Heyman checks on RVD immediately and calls for assistance, looking up to notice CM Punk stood beside him. While there's no evidence to suggest that CM Punk had anything to do with the attack, it's clear that Heyman is somewhat slightly suspicious of him. One of two men with something to gain from RVD being hurt, the other being Steve Corino, and with an offer on their table to join that new breed of revolutionaries, doubt has certainly been cast over the integrity of CM Punk. 1 week before the huge ECW World Championship match at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Stat gets a 53C-, a good way to end the show. We get a 45D rating. That's decent considering how poor the matches were on the night. Nonetheless, we've increased our popularity in 36 regions, but have lost it in 3. That is the worst episode we've done so far. And to be fair, Sonny Siaki and Tommy Dreamer in the main event, it was never going to be a classic. That's the end of the ECW Arena tapings. We've done 8 episodes from there, the first 8 episodes of CyberSlam, but now the attention turns to next week, the return to the Hammerstein Ballroom, the ECW World Championship match, CM Punk versus Rob Van Dam versus Steve Corino.